These are players that are moving down dynasty rankings that are, for one reason or another, falling in market rankings. We're going to tell you what to do with them, whether you should actually sell them, whether you should hold through it, or whether they actually have become buys because the market has become lower on these guys. Knowing what to do in season with player values is one of the best ways to be successful as a dynasty player. And let's start with the obvious one. Let's start with Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow now, his, I don't know, second or third season-ending injury that he's had in his NFL career.
Third.
His third season-ending injury.
Yeah.
I mean, at this point with Burrow, he gets injured more than he does stay healthy. When he's healthy, he's absolutely a top 10 pick in Dynasty Superflex drafts. But how do we rank him now that he is out for another year? And when you're talking about a 3-year outlook in Dynasty Fantasy Football, even though Joe Burrow is not that old, you still are talking about losing a third of that outlook. He will be back next year, of course, but he's already 28, and he has gotten hurt to end his season 3 times. Where do you rank him? I think in terms of quarterbacks, in terms of Mahomes or Burrow, I think you have to give the edge to Mahomes just for this season.
Yep.
Drake May or Burrow, I would put them in the same tier, but I probably would put May just ahead of Burrow. At this point, looking very good. Drake May looks like somebody you're going to want to own, but outside of that, I'm not seeing, Justin Herbert's going to be somebody that's moving up rankings. Are you taking Justin Herbert or Joe Burrow in Dynasty?
I would still give the edge to Joe Burrow just
too.
because of the pairing with Jamar Chase and T. Higgins long term. And again, I think a big reason that Herbert is flying up boards right now is because we're seeing a Greg Roman offense that we've legitimately never, ever, ever seen.
Yep.
And I don't know how sustainable that will be throughout the course of this season. I think that one's a little more reactionary. So I'm right there with you. I've got him in the same tier now as Drake May. Do you have Drake May over him or under him?
I have Drake May over him technically, but I've got him in the same tier. I think really where you talk about Joe Burrow moving down ranks is, and by the way, in order of in terms
overall.
of what to is overall. In terms of
the
what
tier
to
drop.
do with Joe Burrow, you have to probably hold Joe Burrow. You do not want to sell him now. Now would be the absolute worst time to sell him.
Oh, and by the way, if you're a reload or a rebuilding team, go get him
This
at a
is the time to
discount for
buy.
a contending team that is desperate to go get a piece that's actually going to produce.
Because he'll go back up.
Yeah.
He'll go back up. But
He won't get up. He won't get up to where he was pre-injury, but he will be more likely than not. He will be 1-2 turn caliber, and he will fall to probably 2-3 turn level when you're talking like in the middle of the season right now when people have to offload him at a discount.
So like realistically where I'm seeing Joe Burrow fall in my rankings, in my overall rankings, in Dynasty Superflex drafts, he would be right now at the end of the second round for me, whereas he was going in the first round before. I would put him around JSN, Drake London, Amon-Ra, Brock Bowers, Justin Herbert, Rashee Rice, Lab McConkey, Marv, Nico, those guys. And so really you've seen him kind of move down a tier in the overall rankings. But again, and the verdicts on Burrow are easy. If you're a rebuild or reload, you buy right now. If you have him and you are a rebuild or reload, you absolutely hold. If you're a contending team, you should hold. Do not sell to reloading or rebuilding teams for a discount because you will end up losing that trade.
Yeah.
And so with Burrow, while we are concerned, I do think a little bit of a rankings move down is warranted because, he is out for this year. But at the same time, we're not going to panic on Joe Burrow completely. He is going to come back and he is going to have value. And so you have to understand that he could be a buy low for a lot of teams here. Travion.
Yeah, Travion has really just had a slow start for a rookie running back that I think, aside from Jency and Hampton, expected him to really start strong. I mean, he looked like the best running back in preseason and training camp, and a lot of people, including us, bought into that hype because, again, that usage, we didn't care necessarily about the usage. It was more the quality of running back and the type of running back that we expected him to be heading into this offense, which was a really nice receiving back with a high floor and a guy that was going to easily take over that backfield alongside Ramondre Stevenson. And you saw that demonstrated, honestly, week 1 against Vegas. You were like, oh, that's nice with a 35% snap share, 6 targets, 6 receptions. That's a nice little floor. This is exactly what we expected from him when he's not getting these touchdowns. And then you would just expect that usage to go up incrementally week after week after week. Well, week 2, the snap share stays the same, and Ramondre just has a really productive day against a bad offense or a bad defense, against Miami. So with Pittsburgh, Carolina, Buffalo, New Orleans, Tennessee, Cleveland, kind of a mixed bag of matchups there over the next month to month and a half. I think it's going to be a mixed bag for TreVeyon Henderson in terms of production. But I do think you are going to see the boom weeks. I think the boom weeks will come for TreVeyon with limited snap share. I think at this point in time, we have to accept the fact that probably for the first half of the season, you're going to see a solid split between Henderson and Ramondre. But if history has shown us anything, history has proven that these types of running backs with these analytical profiles and this level of investment, they get their own at some point in time, and it's usually within the first year of their rookie season. So if you get a chance to get Henderson at a significant discount when he was one of the biggest preseason risers, I would go ahead and capitalize. Honestly, I would go as far as saying if you're a contending team that can afford the production hit, quote unquote, over the next month or two, I would try to get him at a discount now because his production upside is still high in this offense as early as this season. And if you're a reload, this is a great value play to make when you really couldn't afford in August to get Henderson at his current price. I haven't moved him down my rankings really at all. He's now fallen below James Cook, right by Chase Brown and Josh Jacobs. People would have killed for that price just a couple weeks ago. And I think, again, when you're talking value upside, it's still much higher than all those guys in that
That's
range.
his market value right now is next to Chase Brown. So here's where I have him ranked right now. I have him ranked in the same tier as Saquon, James Cook, Bucky, and Jonathan Taylor.
And it hasn't changed for me.
And I will say it has changed for me a little bit because I did have him ranked over Bucky Irving and James Cook.
I did move Bucky over him. You're right. I still have him in the same tier, though.
But I have him in the same tier. So I've just moving them around in tiers. Travion Henderson in redraft, obviously you have a stock down. In Dynasty, there's no reason to panic on Travion Henderson, okay? Even though the usage is not there, it's going to be. They drafted him to use him. He will get his shot, and when he does, he will perform. He could be a sneaky buy low if you actually do get him for Chase Brown or Josh Jacobs prices right now, because I still do have him a clear tier above every single one of those guys. So Travion, somebody we're not freaking out on. A.J. Brown, people find every reason in the book to move A.J. Brown down Dynasty rankings. Now, some guys have jumped A.J. Brown. Emeka Ibuka has jumped A.J. Brown. Rome Odunze has jumped A.J. Brown. T-Mac, if he hadn't already, had jumped A.J. Brown. But in terms of the guys behind A.J. Brown,
Zay Flowers has jumped A.J. Brown.
In market value, that's true. Mm-hmm. In our rankings, are you moving Zay Flowers ahead of A.J. Brown?
So looking at that right now, I would lean no right now. They are closer than where they used to be. I have A.J. Brown basically backing up that tier instead of being at the top of that tier that we talk about before the drop-off, where you have Rome, Igbuka, and Rasheed all over A.J. Brown now, where preseason they were all right by or like behind him. And I think just naturally with their age, the fact that they're going to be just safer long-term and have more insulation in each of their respective offenses, you've got to give the nod to every single one of those guys over A.J. Brown. But as far as like, hey, I'm a contending team, I need to get a discounted wide receiver that has high production upside, that's A.J. Brown. That's your answer. And again, this is a situation where it's like you would have killed to get A.J. Brown at that price, at his current price right now in the early offseason. And again, this is before he had the slow start, but we saw these types of games last year. We knew that Philly was going to run the ball a lot like they did last season, and we knew that Hurts was going to have low passing volume games more often than not. And guess what? A.J. Brown can still command 30% of that target share, that team target share. And he will, I think, over time. I think it's going to increase. He did. We had heard reports of him like having a little bit of a tweaked hamstring or an issue in training camp, which I think has slowed him down a little bit in the early start of the year. But I think as he kind of ramps up, I think he'll be fine. And you saw that target volume in week 2 go up to like 8 targets. It's only a matter of time before he pops one off for a tud, and he's gonna be a riser again. So.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of think that's true. Again, if A.J. Brown is a redraft buy, he's got to be a dynasty buy because once he starts performing, his dynasty value is just going to go right back up.
Yeah.
So A.J. Brown's somebody I'm not freaking out about. Now, Kyren Williams. A lot of people in redraft are very much freaking out and selling Kyren Williams because of what we've seen now with a little bit of more of a, not even a 50-50. They're freaking out about a 70-30. Now, the reason they're freaking out about Kyren Williams' 70-30 split is because historically, when you're looking at how Kyren Williams gets his points, it is not from the receiving upside. It's not. It's always from getting 90% plus snap share, getting 20 carries a game or more, and then having a bunch of yards and getting touchdowns. And so really what it comes down to is the red zone carries. And honestly, it's just going to be chance with Kyren Williams if he does get the red zone carries. If the one out of every 3 drive that Blake Corum's in the game, they go to the red zone and Blake Corum scores the touchdown, then that's how it's going to be. You have other offenses in the NFL that operate this way, and we don't necessarily see us deduct points from them in Dynasty. However, they do have the targets there to kind of prop up their production, which Kyren at the beginning of the year last year was getting the targets, and at the end of the year just stopped getting them altogether. And so it really does depend on how that looks this year. So far in 2024 and 2025, you've only seen him get 2 targets each of his first 2 games. And so that is concerning. He's still getting 18 and 17 attempts, but again, that would be on the lower end of what we saw last year for the most part. And in those games, he had a stretch last year. We had 10, 11, 8, 11, and 18 points. points, where he was only getting 15, 16, and 15 snaps in those games. And so that would dramatically lower the ceiling of Kyren Williams. The thing to remember about Kyren in Dynasty, though, a 25-year-old running back on his second contract that is locked in there for 3 years. And so realistically, I probably think after 2 games, I can't move him dramatically down my running back rankings.
I haven't moved him down yet, and I won't move him down for the next couple of weeks unless we see this continue with Corum getting more usage than he got last year, and it's actually taking away from the touchdown upside on a weekly basis that Kyren Williams
Which
has.
we've already started to see that. And so I would understand if you do freak out a little bit about Kyren, but a 2-week sample size is not enough for me to move him down, in my opinion. I do think it's worth monitoring, though. I do still have him around guys like Breece Hall, Chase Brown, Quinshon Judkins, Josh Jacobs, Derrick Henry. That's like the end of that tier. And so I would separate him now from the Taylor, Henderson, Bucky, Cook tier. I would say I don't put him in that tier just yet, but I do have him as the top guy in the next tier. And so realistically, when you're looking at what Kyren's outlook could be this season, it's very possible that he takes a step back if Blake Corum continues to get red zone touches. But that's what it's going to depend on. We got to see more about the Rams usage, but I do understand the panic on Kyren in terms of where I'm moving him down in my overall rankings right now. I think he would be like still exactly where he was going in the offseason, like late 4th, probably mid-late 4th, and honestly, that's fine. So I'm not going to freak out about Kyren just yet, but I do see the concern is going to be something to monitor in the next coming weeks.
Yeah, I mean, guys like James Cook, Breece, and Jacobs, and even Judkins, honestly, in coming weeks could easily jump him if their usage continues and his goes down a tick. So that's something to keep an eye on. Next guy we've got here is Travis Hunter. Travis Hunter is honestly, when you're talking about rookies, has been one of the biggest disappointments through 2 weeks. And again, I want to reinforce through 2 weeks. The reason we're doing a video on guys that are falling down rankings is because I think it's important to note that there are dramatic fallers through the first 2 weeks of the season, and some of it is merited and some of it is not. I think with Travis Hunter, it honestly is kind of a mixed bag. The value fluctuation of Travis Hunter was kind of a given just based off of the skill set that he had, and we didn't know how much he was going to play on defense, what this offense was going to look like under Liam Cohen. Apparently, we didn't know that Travis Etienne was just going to go absolutely bananas and look like the best version of him that we've ever seen, which is still insane to me. But here we are. Brian Thomas Jr. Is the wide receiver one there, and he's not producing right now either. Again, I've talked about this in the Redraft channel, and I'll reinforce it in the Dynasty channel. We cannot count on Travis Hunter being a riser until obviously the production comes, and we can't expect the production to come until Brian Thomas Jr. himself starts producing. You have to apply this to the 1 before you apply it to the 2 in that offense schematically. And BTJ, while he's getting target volume there, is not capitalizing on that target volume. And I think there's a lot of blame to go around there on multiple different parties. I think some of it is play calling and scheme. I think some of it is Trevor Lawrence not being accurate and throwing hospital balls to BTJ. Like Avery mentioned, I think some of it could be BTJ just looking scared out there and uncomfortable in a new system. And again, some of that's going to take time. I will be completely honest. Where Travis Hunter is being priced right now, which is value equivalent to A.J. Brown, Zay, Kyren, Higgins, Rashee Rice, I don't think we've seen Travis Hunter's value floor yet. I think over the next couple of weeks, if he doesn't have good productive games, he could fall even more to a tier below that, where Quinshon Judkins, Xavier Worthy, Ricky Pearsall are currently being valued. I think he could settle there. I think that's very, very possible. We still have to acknowledge that this is the 2nd overall pick in the NFL draft. The investment and what they paid for Travis Hunter does not in any way, I think, make sense for them to just, for the foreseeable future, not utilize him. They're going to push to get him integrated into this offense more consistently if he's not getting enough touches through the first quarter of the season. But again, I think it'll be through the first quarter of the season before they make a big stink about it. He still has to kind of find his way as a rookie in this new offense under Liam Cohen. So if you're a reload with Travis Hunter, again, you got to hold him. If you are a contending team and you're looking for a guy that is going to be potentially more consistently productive this season, at this point, would you pivot off of Travis Hunter to go get Rashee Rice before he shoots up boards?
Is that a question? That's like not even relatively debatable. Like It's
I think
not
it,
even.
I think it's Rasheed, right?
Oh my gosh, yes. Oh my, I have Rasheed ranked
Yeah,
way above
and
Travis Hunter.
again, this. I don't think that this is us being overreactionary or anything like
They
that.
rank
I think
next to
this
each
is
other?
us. This is us playing the market in the short term during the year. And realistically, do we see Rashee Rice shooting up boards first or Travis Hunter?
Rice.
Probably Rashee Rice. And again, this is something that we're not, the gap between them couldn't have been any further apart, honestly, for an unproven rookie in Hunter and a guy who was suspended for 6 games in Rashee Rice heading into the year, and now they're actually value equivalent, and we're now going to probably bet on Rashee in the short term.
I'm going to keep screaming it from the rooftops. Buy Rashee Rice before he comes back. If you are watching this video, you just got the best nugget of information you will get in Dynasty in 2025. Buy Rashee Rice now. Seriously, trust me. So if you can make that move, do it. Obviously, again, we're recommending moves for people every day when we do our blueprints for you guys. If you have a team that you'd like us to take a look at and give you our take on it, your team archetype, your 3-year outlook, whether you should rebuild or contend this year, what moves you should make to contend, or who you should move if you're going to rebuild or reload, we can take a look. Nathan and I do all of these personally. It's a good asset for your team just to make sure that you're on the right track during the season when it's very important to trade while your league mates are actually around. So flockfantasy.com/domain. If you use code domain when you sign up and then do the annual Mother Flockager, you do get that free team blueprint, and you're going to get infinite blueprint, which during the season is new every single week. You get a new blueprint on it. And so check that out in the link in the comments. We'd love to have you join the community. You get all of our perks, plus you get a free team blueprint when you use code domain. Again, the annual Mother Flocker tier. TJ Hawkinson's coach. This is not a 2-week reactionary take for me.
This is one that's been cooking for probably a year and a half, and we were expecting him to just look more like he used to before the ACL, and he looks the same. So it's a bummer.
This offseason, you will notice we did not say anything about TJ Hawkinson. I did not tell you to buy TJ Hawkinson. In fact, I was not drafting TJ Hawkinson ever. The reason for that was because what I saw last year, TJ Hawkinson, really the first year, and what it is, I think is this. I honestly think Kirk Cousins was good for TJ Hawkinson, and I think now that Kirk Cousins is gone, I don't think that JJ McCarthy is going to be good for him. Wentz maybe, but either way. So maybe if you think Wentz is going to be good for TJ Hawkinson, maybe you hold him for a week or two and then sell him.
Yeah.
But either way, I'm selling TJ Hawkinson. I think TJ Hawkinson is probably done at this point in terms of being a high-end dynasty tight end. He's 28 years old, so it's not like he's super old here. I just don't. There's a couple of things. I just don't love the system there. Without Kirk Cousins, I don't think he's going to get enough volume. The days of him getting 129, 127 targets are absolutely in the past. They just are straight up in the past. We haven't seen him get that type of target volume since 2023. Maybe someday he gets again and jumps back up. I don't care. I'm willing to trade him right now for Kyle Pitts. And I know that may sound stupid, but Pitts and him are next to each other in keep, trade, cut. And right now I would prefer Pitts. Pitts is getting, 8 points per game compared to Hawkinson's first 2 games. He's had 4 and 2 points per game. Hawkinson was undraftable for me in redraft this year because I thought this is what would happen. Realistically, I think TJ Hawkinson...
The passing volume with McCarthy ended up being abysmal.
And again, that's
abysmal to a point where
that's how he
hurting
thrived.
JJ's production.
He was a target hog. Yeah. He is not anymore a target hog.
And we haven't even factored in Jordan Addison coming back.
Like you can right now, you can get Swifty for him in Dynasty. And I would do that.
Yeah, I've already moved Hawkinson down a tier, same tier as Njoku, Kincaid, Pitts, Fan, and Ferguson, and he'll probably be lower when it's all said and done. He's definitely a guy that's trending down, and I don't think there are many indicators that he's going to be trending back up anytime soon.
Maybe in 2 years he will.
Again, like Tucker Kraft to me at this point was just an easy jump, easy jump for me right now, which is why, again, like I don't want to jump off the wagon with TJ Hawkinson too early and be like, oh, he's cooked. He's never going to be good or productive ever again in his entire career. Like maybe McCarthy sucks this year and Minnesota ends up being not as good as we thought they could be. And they're in a position to draft a QB next year. And maybe they get more passing volume that way. Or maybe they go and get somebody in free agency or trade for someone at the quarterback position next season. Like Hawkinson is still locked into that situation for a bit where the situation could be more friendly for him to produce long term. So I think he'll always be like a relevant name in Dynasty for the next couple of years at least. But when you're talking upside, I mean Tucker Kraft, you got to give him the nod at this point. Through 2 weeks, there's just less mouths to feed in an offense that does pass the ball more than JJ McCarthy is right now.
Yeah. Again, I think there may be a day. He's only 28 years old. That's young for a tight end. There may be a day where TJ Hawkinson, he's a buy again. Right now,
Yeah.
He doesn't have any use for my dynasty teams, and so I'm going to sell him off. That's just realistically what I think his outlook is at the moment. Jalen Waddle. Interesting.
Yeah, so Jalen Waddle has been a faller, like everybody in that offense has been a faller. I didn't want to talk about Tyreek Hill because Tyreek Hill is 31 years old, and he's just naturally going to fall anyways when it's an ugly offense, and he's producing as a shell of what he used to be. The reason I wanted to mention Waddle and what his price is right now is he's currently value equivalent to guys like DJ Moore, Cortland Sutton, Krosky Merritt, which I think is kind of fake value right now for Krosky Merritt. Terry McLaurin, again, kind of all those older vets, Mike Evans. And when you're talking 3-year outlooks, if we're being honest with ourselves, like Jalen Waddle's 3-year outlook as a 26-year-old is more positive when you're talking about like maintaining that level of value than a guy like Mike Evans. I'm not going to go as far and say like, hey, I think that Jalen Waddle's a buy right now, but here's what I will say. If you're an owner of Jalen Waddle right now, hold him.
Yep.
Hold him for now because the main reason being I think Mike McDaniel is the first head coach on the chopping block in season this year. I think it's going to happen sooner rather than later. This offense looks abysmal. Tua looks totally out of his comfort zone. And generally what we see from media is all these smear campaigns on head coaches before they get fired in the middle of the season. You start seeing like locker room horror stories, all these different things about like how he just babies Jalen Ramsey and Tyreek Hill and lets them walk all over him. There's no discipline in the locker room whatsoever. Like all these different things, all these different pieces of news, which whether they're true, not, or somewhere in between, there's a reason these things are being pushed out, and there is a campaign at this point to get Mike McDaniel out of Miami and for them to start fresh and probably start to offload Tyreek Hill for a bag of chips, whatever they can get, kind of Devontae Adams style with Vegas last year.
Gonna happen.
I think Tyreek Hill is going to get traded midseason this year, and at that point, you're just looking at an automatic value bump, probably a tier up for Jalen Waddle, just because he's the last man standing there. They're not going to trade Jalen Waddle before they trade Tyreek Hill. So when you see wholesale change for a franchise like the Miami Dolphins in the near future, that does bode well for a 26-year-old and Jalen Waddle, who I don't think has the value upside that we used to think he had, obviously, in years past. But at the moment, I think it's a bad time to move off of him.
I mean, here's what's going to happen. You're going to have McDaniel fired. At the end of the year, the Dolphins are going to draft a quarterback. Tua is going to get either replaced next year or the year after because that quarterback may sit for a year, may come in and start for a year.
And he'll see a value bump by people just projecting
with the quarterback.
Just projecting
Tyreek's going to be traded. Whether it's this year or next year, he's going to be traded. Jalen Waddle will be the DJ Moore. He'll be in his DJ Moore phase of his career where he's going to be a solid veteran wide receiver. They're going to bring in another young wide receiver to be behind him. They'll probably draft a wide receiver in the second round. It'll fail, and then they'll draft a wide receiver in the first round. By that time, Jalen Waddle's 28, 29. He's going to see value bumps. That's exactly, save this tweet. That's exactly what's going to happen in Miami. I know it is. They're going to reset this year, and when that happens, they're going to pair Jalen Waddle with another young wide receiver and try that with their new quarterback. That's how they're going to approach it, and he will gain value. Finally, the one everybody wants to know about, Kaleb Johnson. Oh my gosh, Kaleb Johnson. Oh my gosh. This is my guy. This is a guy I just loved. I loved his film. I loved him at Iowa. I thought he was going to be great. His bakery scores are fantastic. His analytics are great. And all for what? All for Arthur Smith and Mike Tomlin to be like, we hate you. We hate you. And part of it's because he's bad in pass pro, which, probably should have picked up on that and in the evaluation.
Yeah, that was the one knock on him in training camp. We heard all decent news of Kaleb Johnson where it's like, yeah, he's fine. Nothing really bad to say about him as a runner or anything like that, but his pass pro is brutal.
He's got bad pass pro.
Yeah, that's unfortunate.
He's the running back 35 right now in Keep Trade Cut. He's next to other running backs like, Dylan Sampson, Tony Pollard, J.K. Dobbins, Dave Montgomery. I'm fine with him being priced there for now. I mean, I just don't know.
Yeah, here's the thing.
He could be nothing. He could be Kendre Miller.
Mm-hmm. Even with, and again, I will reinforce I think the Kendre Miller comp is a little bit extreme because Kendre Miller analytically, that was across the board. Across the NFL, when you're talking about scouts, there was no one that did not think Kendre Miller was a 3 to 4 round reach. And with Kaleb Johnson, he was pretty popular. He was a good name. He was consistently mocked on day 2 of the NFL draft. It was not a surprise when he went in the third to a solid landing spot. And again, the analytical tier and where he is in the green tier there, it's still as good. But you can't deny Jaylen Warren is now going to be there for the foreseeable future because he gets that extension. I will note though, I don't think it's all I don't think he's totally dead in the water because Jalen Warren's producing, because even Jalen Warren dropping 13 and 17 points the first 2 weeks of the season, guess what his snap share usage is? It's still 40, 50%.
Yep.
And that's what it's going to remain. And it'll stay that way as long as he is with Pittsburgh. He will never, ever be a bell cow.
So for reference here, just to put into words what you're saying, better words, Kendre Miller, in terms of in the bakery, all-time third-round picks at running back, 25th overall. Very bottom of the yellow tier. Kaleb Johnson, the best graded third-round running back ever in the bakery. Yeah. There are two guys in that tier in the third round, Kaleb Johnson and Devon Achane. I mean, analytically, this guy still is, he would be a monumental bust. He would be a monumental bust.
One of the most unprecedented busts when we're talking about like our prospect analysis.
Now, when you're looking at that green tier, there are some busts in here, right? Obviously, Jonathan Brooks got hurt, right? But Joe Mixon was a hit. J.K. Dobbins, obviously, he's been kind of hit or miss because of injuries. Javonte Williams was meh. Jonathan Brooks, again, was injured. Derrick Henry hit. Henderson, TBD. Achane hit. Kenneth Walker, what I would consider hit. Josh Jacobs was a hit. Darius Geis.
I mean Dobbins was a massive value hit. He was 1-2 turn at that point.
So, yeah, from a value standpoint. So again, career, like he would still be a very serious outlier here if he didn't do anything. My guess is he gets phased into that running back 2 role at least by the end of the season, and him and Gainwell split snaps. It just sucks because his 3-year outlook.
I do think well, at this point, his production ceiling is kind of capped, because you will see for the foreseeable future, even when Kaleb Johnson gets usage and opportunity, it will be a Najee Harris, Jalen Warren split.
Yeah,
and Kaleb Johnson is just replacing Najee Harris on a rookie contract.
And so it is going to be capped. It's unfortunate, but we'll see what happens with Kaleb Johnson. I don't think he's dead in the water. I'm fine with people are ranking him. I'm not going to move him way down my rankings yet. So again, drop a like on the video if you enjoyed this. Make sure you're subscribed as well. If you play Dynasty Fantasy Football, this is the place to be. And also over in our Discord, in our community, is the place to be as well. Again, we can take a look at your team, tell you whether you should rebuild, contend, whatever, get a team blueprint. You join the community, get one for free, and you're going to get infinite blueprint with it. It's the best deal in the industry for Dynasty Fantasy Football. Again, it's flockfantasy.com/domain. Use code domain, annual motherflockage here. We appreciate you guys. Thanks so much for watching. We love you, and we'll see you next week.